you very much for coming, and thank you for the introduction. I'd like to take a few minutes to talk about the results that we have found both for India and for Odisha specifically. So we can go to the next slide. So first to talk about who we are. In partnership with the Tata Center for Development, I'm representing a group called the Climate Impact Lab.
2016, when we were invited by the government to set up a knowledge management cell, we started an intensive program on monitoring the industrial emission data. The program was launched by the Honorable Chief Minister. We worked with the government of Odisha on setting up the virtual knowledge academy. We are in the process of starting a study on solid waste management, another study on property tax management. So, though we started in 2016 in a modest way, I'm very happy to share that we haven't looked back since then. And Odisha as a state has been very, very promising, very, very enterprising in suggesting new areas of work to us. So every time I visit our colleagues in the government of Odisha and our colleagues in the academic institutions here in India, I go back charged with 20 other ideas of what are the studies that University of Chicago can conduct here. Initiative. So a very warm welcome to everyone on behalf of the Tata Center for Development at the University of Chicago. As the name suggests, the Tata Center for Development is an initiative of the Tata Trust and University of Chicago to conduct research on developmental issues in India and also to implement the research findings in collaboration with academia and governments of respective states.
On average in India. So this is the temperatures averaged across all of India under two scenarios. The red line one being where the world doesn't mitigate any CO2 and it continues on the same trajectory. The other one being temperatures in India if the world tries to reduce its emissions to the level seen a little bit more than what's seen in the Paris Accord. You can go forward 3 here. So first we have to see what India looks like in terms of temperatures. It turns out that the northwest, no surprise, is the hottest part of the country. The top row, so that's in 2010, the top row shows what would happen under that high emissions trajectory.
And has also reported for the Outlook magazine. He has won numerous awards and recognitions for his reporting and is among a select group of journalists in the state who writes him.
Change within 2050. Do you agree with all these predictions?
So what we're looking at the moment is only looking at the heat-related temperature. We're trying to do other research, and many people are trying to do research to try and understand what happens to coastal risk and coastal flooding. What we know is this region is very susceptible to tropical cyclones and sea level rise, and the combination of both sea level rise and increased intensity of storms means that this particular part of India is very vulnerable.
What are the dangers the Odisha can face in the future for climate change?
So my name is Amir Jina. I'm a professor at the Harris School of Public Policy at the University of Chicago, and I've been working in India with the Tata Center for Development, and we're looking at the effect of climate change on the changes to temperatures all across India, but also in Odisha, and how that affects people's mortality. And what we find is that the average temperatures look like they will increase quite a lot. If the world continues emitting a lot of carbon dioxide by the end of the century, the average temperature could go up from around 29 degrees Celsius in the summer to about 32 degrees Celsius. But there's a big change to the number of extremely hot days. So the number of extremely hot days over 35 degrees Celsius at the moment, is about 1 or 2 per year. That can increase by a factor of 30, so that might go up to close to 50 more of these extremely hot days. That's the biggest increase we've seen anywhere in India. And if we continue on that path, if the world continues on that path of high emissions, if we don't do anything to decrease CO2, that could mean 42,000 extra deaths here by the end of this century. That's just 80 years away. So that means that if the world doesn't commit to reducing the cause of climate change, that India, and Odisha in particular, will have to do a lot to adapt.
On which basis you are predicting all these things?
Sorry?
On which data basis you are predicting all these
So,
things?
so to do this, we collect data on mortality from all across the world. We have data for about 60% of the world's population, and we look at the association between extreme heat and mortality. And that's how we calculate what these effects are.
Sir, what extra things you predict about the rest of the states of India?
So, as I said, Odisha is one of the places which is predicted to see the biggest change in its extremes. But we will see big changes locally. So currently Punjab is the hottest state in India. But by the end of the century, if we don't do anything to limit climate change, 16 out of the 36 states and union territories will actually be hotter than Punjab is today. Across the country, that means those extreme days are going to heat up by a factor of 8, so there might be go from 5 of those extremely hot days on average around the country to over 40 of these days over 35 degrees Celsius. And in total around the country, it means an extra 1.5 million deaths, or around 1.5 million deaths per year due to extreme temperatures if we continue on this path with high emissions.
Sir, some other agencies